the longest backstories between these players, and we have players with not just a decades of experience competing still. It is incredible to see how good they've got. There's a young generation coming up. Cyan, up here in the top left-hand side, representing Good Game Gaming. It is Cyan.
And when we are talking about the old dogs, we're talking about people like this guy from Invictus Gaming in the red. This is MacSed. A veteran of multiple esports. He's been playing StarCraft 2 since the beginning, still plays it today. 130 grand won in esports. It's a really nice prize pool from him, and obviously he has a rich history dating all the way back to just being a little chillin' back when I was a chillin' back in the 90s playing esports. Is what a god.
And yeah, he is an unnaturally long lifespan, MacSed has had.
Okay. Sorry about that. I think we had a technical difficulty of some variety. I'm not sure if it's my end or...
Sorry, I did actually have my mic muted there for a moment, so there was an issue on my end. But we are going back into game right now. So a small issue from me there, and then something else. End of the day, it's PvP. Let's go. Cyan scouted. It's going to be a great on-one. And of course, yes, we meme about MacSed's age, but it is cool to see a player who's just racking up that experience and adapting. Because one of the brutal things about esports, StarCraft included, is the meta changes, the game shifts. It does not stay the same. Not only does the understanding change, but there have been many patches throughout the years. And, you know, there are rules changes in sports. Sometimes the ball changes by a fraction of a millimeter. Sometimes the field changes very slightly. But compared to the massive stats changes and economic changes that happens in the lifespan of StarCraft, it really is like the whole sport is changing. You as a player have to reinvent yourself a lot of the time to stay active and competitive with the best players. So hats off to these guys. MacSed 33, I believe now. Cyan, of course, 28 years old. So not too young himself. He's quite experienced these days, and they've both had the chance to compete overseas many, many times throughout their careers.
Indeed. Dating back into Warcraft here for MacSed. And we do have a Sentry coming up here as MacSed just tries to hold on to his expansion. Similar build for Cyan, but relying a little bit more on Stalker presence on the map. Not pressure, but presence. Just scouting around, trying to get a little bit of map control, sending out that first Sentry Hallucinated Phoenix earlier here to have a look at what's happening in MacSedville.
Yeah,
and it's all pretty hunky-dory.
No one's really going to be committing too hard to the aggression. Bit of a faster Twilight for Cyan. We'll give him an advantage on the Blink upgrade, but that doesn't necessarily lead into too much here. MacSed does get a nice quick Forge, so he's going to be going right up that economic path.
Okay. Yeah, Forge for both players. Twilight Council for both players. So Cyan a little bit faster along with that Twilight Council. So it looks like a Blink opener here. It starts that Blink right now. MacSed, same deal, honestly. Just looks like it's going to be Blink Stalkers into the next phase of the plan. No real sign beyond that just yet. Like no extra tech structure, no Robo, no Stargate just yet. But just a reliance on gateway units to begin things here in this PvP. And both players respecting those early game units. We see the probes patrolling at the top of those ramps there. Just awaiting an adept to have to drop that shield battery. You have to always respect the adept. And if you don't, that'll be when they get you.
Indeed. It's the saddest way every Protoss player has lost an important tournament game to a couple of adepts getting in early and doing a whole ton of damage. Quick Robo here for MacSed is going to allow him to get out some detection, make sure he doesn't die to any sneaky DTs, and Cyan as well. Wow, they're both playing ultra safe, just trying to get all the tech up. Because of that Robo, I would expect a quick third gas from both players. Now, MacSed already adding 2 more gateways, going up to 4 gateways very quickly as well. He's already up a couple of workers. It feels like MacSed... And he's not building gateway units at all. Dude, look at MacSed's natural. He's got almost no units. Like, he has, like, literally just not been making... He's like, I have a Stalker and 3 sentries. You think you know how to play greedy? He's like, dude, I see you're being greedy. I'm going to be even greedier. He takes a 3rd base immediately. This is mad.
Oh, this might force Cyan to do the same thing here. He's kind of set up for it, and he's starting to bank up those minerals. But he is moving out the Stalkers, and certainly with his Yeah, I mean, MacSed's waiting for it, and there it is. He sees the third Nexus, so we're going into 3-base PvP here. No real pressure, no real poke from either player. They've been really respecting their early game forces, or I guess in MacSed's case, he's been getting away with a lack thereof. You know, we were talking about the PvP styles between the two players, and MacSed, I remember being the, you know, it was surprising to me that he didn't pick the one-gate expand maps over Cyan, because he's like, to me, he's the guy that is greedier in this matchup and likes that, like, you know, big Stargate ball towards the end of PvPs versus some of the other Protosses that enjoy Blink Disruptor or just like Immortal Charge-Lot Archon, that kind of thing.
Yeah, he's definitely been known to play those sort of styles, and I mean, we remember the season of Mech Protoss from MacSed, where he's just like, I only build Immortals, Void Rays, Carriers, and Disruptors. No other units, cannons, and batteries are allowed. And you're like, oh my lord, what is this? He was like playing Mega Turtle Protoss, but this is looking a bit more standard. He's going to look to attack with the Stalker Sentry, or at least pressure, charge +2 on the way behind it. Now, Cyan going for the same sort of tech, but you can see he's in a bit more of a defensive stance, going for a very quick Templar Archives.
Yeah, and that Charge-Lot Archon style that I mentioned seems to be the plan for Cyan. Just a really great all-rounder. MacSed looks like he's geared up for the same, honestly. We just haven't seen the Templar Archives just yet, or a Dark Shrine, if you wanted to go for that variety of Archon. A little bit of harassment there. 4 probes going down for Cyan. MacSed definitely with a nice worker lead here in this mirror matchup. Yeah, later Templar Archives, he does drop it now, but obviously Archon access is a lot quicker for Cyan, so he's got a little bit more technology than MacSed at the moment.
So, a 4th gas goes down for MacSed. I'd love to see MacSed take a fast 4th base. I think when you've already got this sort of worker lead, and you can play a bit Zealot heavy on Lightshade, Archons are good in choke points against Zealots, but if you're getting surrounded or flanked, Zealots just outperform almost anything in the early mid-game, right? So unless you've got like really good shield battery cannon or Archons in a choke point or something like that, just having more minerals, more Zealots absolutely can do amazingly. That being said, MacSed adding a lot of his own Archons, going for a more traditional army, just adding the tech units, and same thing for Cyan. So MacSed has maintained a small economy lead throughout, but Cyan is still a little ahead in units. Remember, he was building those units earlier, so it averages out to be a very even game still, and it really is just going to come down to how these fights happen.
It's incredibly even. Like, even +2 seems to be finishing around the same time. The Archon count isn't especially hugely in favor of Cyan, even though you had the Templar Archives earlier. Apart from the, you know, the slight worker lead now for MacSed, it was like 8 or 9 probes at one point, but it's starting to slow down now as MacSed's kind of cut probe production. The first move out is going to be from Cyan in this incredibly passive game. He is going to try and make an attack happen. The Observer of MacSed sees this happening. He repositions his army. A shield battery in the natural. Observer dies there of MacSed, but he is set up and ready to engage. All 3 Archons to 2 here for Cyan. Archon on the right is in range of that shield battery.
Yeah, battery overcharge gets popped a little early. MacSed's going to try and fight, but his 2 Archons on the left stuck behind the wall of Stalkers. He does shift his movement, does allow those Archons through to the front. And it's just about not overextending here, I think, for MacSed. He's already taking a great fight. Shutting down the Warp Prism is huge. And Cyan, I mean, he gets absolutely crushed here.
Yeah, that looked really, like, honestly, at the beginning of the engagement, I'm like, oh, this looks all right for Cyan, but then MacSed's, you know, rotation on his army, he's maintaining on the concave, using the supercharged shield battery on the Archon as well, juiced it up basically to a full hit point unit again within a second, not even seconds. He really caused an overextension there on Cyan, a misjudgment from the Blue Protoss, and now MacSed with a big army lead, and his expertise in this matchup, he knows that a counterattack is likely going to go well.
Already got the 4th base up. He's up 7 workers, so he's probing behind this. As long as he doesn't get completely wrecked here, MacSed's fine. But, I mean, he senses a 20 army supply advantage. And, look, he forces him into the open. There's no shield battery here. Wow. Cyan's got to pull back to the shield battery if he wants to have any chance of fighting this off. But you know what? All the batteries are in the 3rd, nothing in the natural. So MacSed says, no worries. Come over here. Fight. You got to defend your workers, buddy. And all those shield batteries unable to take part in this fight.
Yeah, it was like 5 Archons against 3 there. He even put the hurt one up into the prison for safety. But in the end, MacSed just rolls through Cyan. The overextension turning into a moment of weakness. And MacSed sweeps the leg there with his counterattack. Really good read on the situation. And as a result, gets himself a map win at the beginning of this best of 5.
3 Stalkers and a Sentry, Maynard. That's all you need to take a 3rd base.
Yeah, apparently.
That is MacSed knowing his opponent, dude. That is, he's so good at adapting and reading his opponents and adjusting to them. If Cyan did one of the proxy gateway, and yeah, you're going forward, looks all normal, you just run across with 8 Stalkers, I mean, he absolutely could have ruined MacSed's day, but I think MacSed knew that Cyan likes to play this very conservative build-up style. So he just matched him, but he said, you know what, I'll one-up your greed. I'll get all the same things you do, but I'll just be a bit greedier, build a few less stalkers in the early game, and wait for you to overextend. And Cyan, he committed here. Attacking like this with no actual information leading to him knowing he had an advantage tells me that Cyan is like, dude, I'm normally so good at macro. Like, shouldn't I just be ahead at this point? And it's like, well, not really. I mean, you haven't done anything to get ahead. And MacSed actually outgreeded you, and it seems like he didn't realize he'd been outgreeded. Because he said, yeah, no, surely taking a fight here aggressively, I'm picking when the fight happens, it should be good for me. But it was an absolute disaster. He was outnumbered. The shield battery took part. Better positioning for MacSed. So I think Cyan there definitely overcommitted to that assault, that's for sure.
Yeah, he probably thought he was being greedy. He probably thought, oh, this is you know, I'm doing really well economically here. This is like my greediest PvP that I've had in a month. So they haven't played each other since May. And he's like, oh, it's MacSed, right? Okay, well, unfortunately, I had to lose a map to remember that this is Mr. Greed. This is Mr. Macro. This is how he likes to play his PvPs. You know, obviously MacSed can cheese. He can be aggressive, but I feel like 8 or 9 times out of 10, MacSed's going to be the guy that lets you come to him, and he'll be the defending player. And he's more than happy to go up to the 4 base. Super like late game PvP style of just chilling, and eventually, you know, as MacSed has been doing when he gets to that phase of like the later stages of PvP from the 15 minute point onwards. Sorry guys, I'm under caffeinated or over caffeinated, you decide. It's you know, he likes to go up into the Stargate units, up into the carriers, up into the, you know, the Void Ray Ball in motherships sometimes in PvP, which is pretty rare.
Indeed, it's a very different style, and it's really cool. There's been a few different players who have adopted that and started exploring it, and I think now that it's not his own special thing and people are a bit more practiced against it, shout out to Daydreamer, who's an amateur Chinese player who plays in a lot of the tournaments and literally never builds gateway units. So I think he was probably inspired by MacSed a couple of years ago, and now he does it all the time, and it's like taken maps off like Hass and a few of the other really good pros with it, because they're like, what is this style you're doing? Why do you have so many Immortals and Void Rays? Really cool. But hey, MacSed starts off the series, as I predicted, dominating the inexperienced youngling that is Cyan.
That is indeed the story of Game 1, and we'll figure out the story of Game 2 together after the break. Guys, don't go away. We'll see you then. G'day, StarCraft fans. Welcome back to the Chinese main event here for DreamHack Masters Full. I am Maynard. With me is Pig, and you are watching our first best of 5 of the day. In fact, it's our only best of 5 of the day because the next one's best of 7. I stand corrected.
That's right. Best of 7 with a 1-game advantage, so it could end up being like a best of 5, right? So
it could be.
It's you know, do we call that a best of 6, Maynard? Potentially, it's like
kind of, yeah. It's like it's a best of 5 for one of them, and it's a best of 7 for the other one.
Yeah, I feel like it's one of those things where it's kind of interesting because what's good and what I like about today is we have a PvP into a PvT, because I get really frustrated for the players' sake if they've got to play the matchup they're going to play in the finals. But I feel like it's a completely different thing. I don't think with one series after another there's exhaustion plays in. I think this is basically just cool. We get to see who's the more worthy Protoss. They go on and they go into a completely different scenario in that next match. So far, a good start for MacSed in what was an incredibly passive game 1. I can't imagine we'll see many more games being that passive. I imagine both players will probably be drastically changing it up as we go into map number 2 up here in the top right-hand side of the map. He is, of course, representing Good Game Gaming in the blue. It is Cyan.
Currently down the series, looking to get that point on the board against this fine gentleman in the bottom left. Currently up 1-0 in the red from Invictus Gaming. This is MacSed.
Going to be a nice early scout there for MacSed. But just double checking what's up. Meanwhile, Cyan being a little bit more chill. Just kind of looks like both guys will go for the 2-gate. And scouting out to the 2nd gate is just fine. But it tells you that MacSed's a little bit more worried about either getting cheesed or his opponent going for a 1-gate expand. And he just wants to make sure that he has the time to respond if that's the case. Of course, coming in a little bit earlier than your opponent, you're like, sacrificed a bit more minerals. Well, I'll just harass your workers and see what I can do to be annoying.
Yeah, harass workers, harass mineral lines, just try and deny whatever you can with that probe. And obviously that the scouting probe is something that's undeniable in PvP. I mean, you could technically block it, but it would be incredibly inefficient to do that. And also you block yourself from taking your own natural if you want to block the probe out, so it's not good. You just kind of have to accept the fact that your opponent's going to scout your early game with the probe. They're going to know, and you can't avoid it, about whether or not you're going for a 1-gate expand or whether you're going for the 2-gate opener. Cyan actually does have a probe on the far left side. He's got one scouting the main of MacSed. But the one on the left side here seems to be ready to proxy something.
You know, we see some fake out ones, but usually not in that position. That, to me, looks like a proxy oracle. Warp gate is on the way, as well as 2 adepts for Cyan. And he's going to hit 150 gas in a moment, so keep your eyes on that production tab. But Pylon is out there only now. So actually not the fastest Pylon. That's interesting. He's really made it look completely normal at home. I imagine we might even see an extra 2 adepts before that proxy goes down.
Yeah, a very late proxy. I'm used to seeing the Pylon go down while the gateway units are coming out. You know, getting ready for that structure to drop down. So there is that Stargate. As you mentioned, it's very likely a proxy Oracle. Unlikely to be a Void Ray, but I guess that's possible as well. But very likely the Oracle. And there was a little bit of a block there from Cyan as well. The natural of MacSed is both players are kind of blocking each other's naturals at the moment. Cyan has not dealt with the Pylon. Unfortunately, it finished, and he has adepts only, and adepts take about, I think, 1,500 years to kill a Pylon? 1,400 years, maybe?
Yeah. If they get resonating glaives, it goes down to 800 years, Maynard. But yeah, definitely this stage, it'll be about 1,400. So Adepts 3 and 4 might even join in just to clear that up, even though that does reveal that you've gone for Adepts, which is, of course, such an aggressive opening. Now, the quicker Nexus on the way for MacSed. MacSed's up 1 probe and has his own Stargate. He's also building a shield battery, I believe, in the main base, which means he'll be well prepared to defend. No, 1 in the natural and 1 in the main. Oh, super safe. This is really good for MacSed. I believe that shield battery should finish just in time for that Oracle flying in.
It'll be close on that second shield battery. And, Cyan's actually queued up a second Oracle here, so he's immediately going into the... if he waits for 2, the shield battery doesn't matter anymore. But the first one's going to show itself. And this might cause MacSed to go into a Void Ray next or into a Phoenix next. Or roll off on the Adepts.
Oh, this is really good for MacSed because he's got that shield battery just healing right on through. And that stasis trap only gets 2 workers, goes back to mining. He's already killed 2 adepts, takes out a 3rd one. Oh, that is a fantastic hold. Using that big chunky gateway that can't get taken down in the wall off. Defends the adepts for now, and he's got his own Oracle counter-attacking. There is a shield battery and a Stalker, so he shouldn't be able to do too much. But the double Oracle for Cyan is going to hit in a moment, and that's the real potential damage dealer. Both players on 26 workers. That's a really small economy. That sort of economy can get smashed down very quickly.
Oh, one Phoenix does not take... it takes a very long time to kill these Oracles. Now they show up together and they can start killing probes. 5 of them have gone down. 1 Oracle dies here. And there is a shield battery in the natural. One of the probes on the right side could have been picked off, but obviously trying to save the Oracle here with that recall. And it does come home. Feels like a bit of an awkward start for Cyan, but he is up in workers right now. And MacSed is switching gears out of Stargate into the ground army by dropping that Twilight Council, going towards the next phase of the plan. With Stargate, you can go right into charge, but it's going to be Blink here just to have that little bit of mobility in the early game with your units, and it is going to be Blink for MacSed.
This is such a good start for MacSed, unit versus unit wise. I would have loved to see him move out to kill the Stargate, but finds a little bit more damage here. Oh, not good micro. He does end up sacrificing the Oracle. He should have got 4, at least 5 kills. Could have been 6 there, or could have got out with 4 kills quite easily. So a little bit of mistargeting, loses the acceleration. I also do think MacSed could move out, kill the Stargate, depower that. And I was thinking actually queuing a 2nd Oracle would be a super cool move for him. Cyan is actually the madman who's building a 3rd Oracle right now. The Phoenix sitting overhead is obviously just a big... There's no way you're going to finish that. Like, you've got to cancel that. That would be absolutely silly, because the whole point of a surprise extra Oracle is it's all about going, hey, at some point your opponent's going to assume that tech is defunct. We're past that point in the game. And then the surprise Oracles come in when a MacSed's out on the map, kill 20 probes, and it's just like... such a surprising move, but it's so expensive, it's so gas heavy. So Cyan, of course, just gives up on it. That probe, unfortunately, looks like he's trapped in the back. It'll go down, and both players working up to that next step. And it seems like MacSed here, dude, we've talked about him being defensive with like Mech Protoss. Well, this is not Mech Protoss, but it's still an incredibly defensive style from MacSed.
Yeah, it's just similar to how he's played a lot of the PvPs, and even game 1. He's like, you come to me, whatever you want to do, I will sit here, I will take it, I'll defend. And when I trade well, that is when I will get, that's when I'll get aggressive. Like what happened in game 1, obviously in Lightshade with Cyan, losing his army for not a whole lot of value. And then he's like, all right, well, I can go for a counterattack here. But most of the time, MacSed is going to be chilling. He's going to be sitting back. But, with Blink, I really feel like you should be active with your Stalkers here. Am I wrong? Like, just get out there and start poking a little bit?
Yeah, I'd love a quick 3rd base as well, because he is ahead on army naturally from that early game. So it goes down now, but I think it could have been a quick 3rd, like the previous game almost, just because of the momentum he had, killing an Oracle, killing 4 Adepts as well. So now it's going to be a very similar macro situation between the two. It feels like it's going to be... Well, I mean, you've got Immortal production coming out for Cyan, right? And, well, now it's there for MacSed. I mean, these guys want to go mirror matchup round 2, Maynard.
Yeah, it was extremely similar in the last game as well, tech-wise and strategy-wise. It was just that, the execution didn't really work out in the end when the decision was made from Cyan to go for the attack and ended up costing him the game. This game, again, just Blink into charge as well for Cyan. He's got charge, no doubt, queued up behind that Blink. And it is Immortal follow-up, so kind of expecting a Templar Archive soon for both players to go into that Charged Archon phase.
Shield Battery does defend on the Oracle. Nicely done there by Cyan. 2 Adepts do go down for just 1. Very passive from MacSed. He poked with the Stalkers, but it was purely a distraction. Kind of went in, saw Immortals, just like ran away. Was just trying to pull the attention of Cyan, who does not fall for it. Remember, Cyan's multitasking is fantastic. He really is a very, very top tier mechanical player. And if the game gets into just a push and pull match, Cyan's massive favorite. In terms of mechanics over MacSed, Cyan has better multitasking. He does. It's just that MacSed, he's got a great knowledge of strategies to use. Templar Archive's going to come in for both players, but there's already a Robo Bay on the way for Cyan, and that I don't think that's a disruptor one. I think this is to start heading towards Colossus.
Oh, you reckon?
Yeah.
No, I mean, I think Colossus with the mixture in of the Templar Archives makes sense. You can just sort of A-move and get that sort of consistent backline splash damage in. I'm with you on that one, but it is going to be a disruptor, at least initially here for Cyan. And MacSed skipping the Robo Bay here, just directly into extra gateways. He's getting more gateways than Cyan to make up for it. and going for the Charge Lot Archon Immortal phase.
MacSed a bit ahead in supply, army and workers. Both sides upgrades very similar. MacSed with a couple seconds ahead starts his Warp Prism. He's going to have a little bit more fighty units, a bit more Archon Zealot. Well, Cyan has, I think he's up to 3 Immortals versus just 1 of MacSed. So that's a 2 Immortal advantage and the Disruptors coming out. So, this is definitely means mobility goes to MacSed, and he's going to use that. He takes a 4th base immediately because Cyan, if he comes out in the open, he's just going to get surrounded, flanked. Like Zealot Archon smashes his army in the open ground. He needs to kind of hug his shield batteries, be a little bit more static, add some batteries and cannons, and even adding that second Robo to improve that Robo Bay unit count, whether it be Disruptors just continually massing, or if he adds Colossi at some point, which is, of course, is just one of the best long-range units for picking away at your opponent.
Good observer there from MacSed. Obviously, he does get picked off in the end, but he sees the Disruptor, and that's important information for him, so he knows all about it. Now he can make a decision based on that fact. Looks like he's going to try and poke the 4th base. Might be able to get a cancel on it. It's pretty fresh.
Oh, so this is interesting. He's almost trying to bait him out into the open with just the Stalkers, but his army's a little clumped. I would like MacSed's army to be a bit more on the right. He doesn't want to attack all up one ramp with these Stalkers. He's going to pull back. That is a very small force for Cyan. Now, the Stasis Trap on the right side does defend a bit, but notice, MacSed's setting up. He wants to jump on that army. He's going to go for it. The Stalkers will take out that Stasis Trap. Big army jumping. Oh, no! Oh! He's got to pull back. MacSed has to disengage.
Yeah, I mean, he gets the cancel on the 4th base, but since the Stasis Trap caught those Zealots and the jig is up, he really cannot get a whole lot done with the, part of his army just taken off the board like this, at least temporarily. He seems primed to try and make something out of this still.
Oh, that was well timed.
Yeah, nicely done.
The wrong Disruptor does MacSed. MacSed's going Phoenix production. Now, we've seen how good Phoenix are versus Disruptors on the map, but Cyan, his job is to just turtle here. If he lets this go long enough and he just defends the Disruptors, like when you get enough Disruptors, enough Archons and stuff in front of them, you can't really use Phoenix versus it anymore because the Phoenix just die too quickly. There's too many Disruptor shots for you to try to take down. So I think this is a very good patient play by Cyan. He's got to very slowly creep out towards that 4th base. MacSed would love to jump on him in the open ground, but he can only take that fight if he finds it. And I would love to see MacSed start his own Disruptor or Skytoss transition behind this so that it can put some sort of economic pressure. Right now, MacSed's looking for a kill move. Cyan, though, very patient, very cautious. Stasis traps there. The Disruptor's always ready to pull back into those stasis.
Or Cyan moving out with a pretty expensive part of his army. Okay, launches the Hallucinated Phoenix, a good call there. Sees that Cyan has a little bit, he has some hostility out there on that front door. 4th going to get cancelled again. Good moves from MacSed in that regard. He's not really losing anything because of it. Cyan slips a bunch of Zealots to the right side, though. Nice big charge lot attack here, heading to that right side where MacSed has a largely undefended 4th and a lot of probes.
Just spent all his Warpins on the front as well, so he's going to have to recall a big chunk of his army. He does have a cannon battery, but that alone is not that much. A few Stalkers do go down. Cyan says, yeah, this is my time. This is my time to look for some big Disruptor shots. So look at that. I mean, the 3rd base is already had a big set of units go back there. And it does look like he defends for now, does MacSed, but a big Disruptor ball coming across the map. It's his job to try and flank and surround that army. Catches some units rallying through there. I mean, that Disruptor looks like gets caught. This is a bit of a mess right now. And the Disruptor army with so many Archons in front, I mean, you can't fight that in one direction. MacSed needs a 6 around to take this army down.
He's just finished his Robo Bay. I feel like MacSed needs to get a Disruptor out, and that Disruptor needs to somehow launch its Nova into the middle of the pack and kill 6 Disruptors. I'm not sure how that happens. He's going to have to... he is actually working on his Disruptor countermeasures, and he's going for the Phoenix here instead of making his own Disruptor. He's floating a little bit of cash at the moment, ready for that next round of Warpins.
I don't know if that's going to work. He's trying to lift these up. Cancel lifts, pick up again. Cancel lifts, pick up again. A couple of big Disruptor shots go off, taking out some Archons on the right flank. Is it enough, though? There's so many Zealots coming in for MacSed, and they are doing some pretty darn big damage.
Yeah, a lot of the Disruptors died here. The lifts were good enough from the Phoenixes. A couple of the Disruptors did land, but his Charge Lot Warp-In, he's not too far away from the defender's advantage of that fast Warp-In pylon. No Prism here for Cyan to continue his assault, and he's losing not only the Disruptors, but also the Archons. The Immortal getting picked off at the back end. MacSed pulling a rabbit out of the hat here with that engagement, and Cyan once again finding himself overextending.
Okay, I think MacSed, yeah, go to the 4th base. Do not attack that 3rd. It's so entrenched. The 4th base also has some static and a DT Shrine coming in. MacSed does not yet have a 5th base. That's really what would... If he can deny this 4th, though, that's going to be a killer. Battery overcharge, though, you got to get out of there. This is an overextension.
Yeah, he's just doing some damage. Not losing anything while doing damage is the name of the game here for MacSed. Disruptor's trying to get replenished here for Cyan. MacSed's had the Robo Bay for a while, but hasn't been making his own Disruptors still. I think he thinks that with the army he's got, he might be able to seal the deal here. He's really coming on in hot. He's lifting up the Disruptor as it rallies in for the natural. He's definitely overwhelming this army in the low ground. A Nova's available. 2 Novas coming in. MacSed's used his Blink, loses a bunch of his backline Stalkers, but the charge lots finish off the Disruptor, and he's killing a bunch of probes at the 4th base. Warp ins from Cyan. Are they good enough? It's just Stalkers, Pig.
Yeah, the Stalkers are doing so well here for MacSed as well. And he's evacuated the 4th of Cyan. He's got better upgrades coming in behind it. He's got way more money to work with. Up a base, up 15 lurkers. And MacSed says, hey, Stalker versus Stalker, Disruptors aren't very good anymore, are they? Because it's so easy to just one-shot Blink away, one-shot Blink away. In these small battles, Disruptors are just not that good a unit.
He's picked off the 4th here. Cyan has not been able to get sure footing in this match. MacSed really seems to have a mastery in this matchup, and he is utilizing every single bit of his knowledge and every single bit of his mechanics to push Cyan back into the corner. And speaking of the corner, that's his natural right there. He's got nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. The Stalker's gunned down that Disruptor, fighting right on top of this army. I mean, DTs are walking in. In come the Archons. There was an observer from MacSed. Is it anywhere nearby? Looks like no, as he pulls back. So here's that DT swipe, but there's the observer, and finally, MacSed seals the deal, and 2-0 up on match point already in the series.
That is a very nice way to play it. It seems in these very passive games. I mean, Cyan tries to speed things up in the early game, but MacSed just shuts it all down, calmly goes to the next step, and not getting overeager at any point in this series. That was just beautiful. The way he was spreading his units out across 3-4 screens, saying, you know what Disruptors aren't good at? Dealing with getting surrounded by mass charge. And you could see Cyan knew the position he was in. He was like, can I please take my 4th? He got cancelled time and again. That was fantastic adaptive play to the situation for MacSed, and I'm just really impressed. I mean, not only defending Proxy Oracle for Adepts really well, but that counter push actually looked like it was putting MacSed in a really scary position. And he had like 4 Phoenix when push came to shove in this big battle. Like, there's like 8 Disruptors in there. That's really hard to disable those shots without losing your whole army.
Well, it's like you mentioned, there's actually 3 Phoenix. Maybe a 4th came in from the backside there, but yeah, there it is. They had a lot of energy, and like you mentioned, they were lifting up and dropping and lifting up and dropping, and MacSed's warp in here of charge loss on the left side also kind of sealed the deal. Like, if those charge loss don't come in, I don't think he has the meat to be able to push this army back and actually DPS it down with those melee units. And also, you know, his army coming from the right side, adjusting that flank, getting the positioning, the surround on those Disruptors was, like you mentioned, the key here. Because Disruptors are really good if you're in a choke point and they have one thing to fire at or one clump to fire at. But if there's, you know, a few clumps and if there's flying units, then they're not so great at all.
Indeed. That was beautiful play, dude. I love it. Really, MacSed showing just a great understanding of kind of how to play these different stages. I've got to say, a bit weird that it was Disruptors, because it was so early to go to Disruptors when you're both locked in the same tech like that. Zealot, Archon, Immortal, going Disruptors so fast, we saw that MacSed was like, well, I just get a 4th base. I deny your 4th because I've just got more Zealots, more Archons. And the thing is, once you've got that forward position like MacSed had, he could go for his own Disruptors. He could go for the next step. And he did that very slowly. He focused more on saying, no, I know you kind of have pressure on you. Instead, I'm just going to use my army well to keep denying the 4th. That's where I'm going to get my advantages from. But yeah, just fantastically done from the veteran. And now, dude, look at this scoreline. This man down here is going to have to dig deep. In the bottom left-hand side, representing Good Game Gaming, this is Cyan.
And the top from Invictus Gaming. It's been his series so far, and he's looking to try and close it out with a 3-0 clean sweep. This is MacSed. We've seen reverse sweeps, obviously, in best of 5s of StarCraft before. We've seen reverse sweeps in best of 7s as well. But I feel like they're relatively rare, especially when they're super closely matched like these two are.
Yeah, this is a really just close matchup, but it just seems like MacSed is comfortable in these passive, chilled games. Really feeling very nice, just going to the next step, working his advantages step by step.
Step by step, day by day. And it's just very similar from the last few games. The 2 gateway expand. Keeping those probes in the gas to a minimum. Just focusing on minerals as they get their expansions up. And yeah, very much macro. Cyan's the only one that's proxied. That was the proxy Stargate in game 2.
Yeah,
MacSed's been very normal.
A chilled out proxy from Cyan as well. You know, it was 4 adepts on a proxy, but it wasn't the quickest proxy. It was well hidden. It was not, hey, I know, you know I'm proxying and it's just happening really fast. A parting proxy, one could call it. An unashamed proxy. No, we haven't seen any of those yet, you know? It's like you go in and you're like, you're missing a pylon and a couple probes, dude. Like, no, it's been the super secretive. This looks totally normal. And 2 adepts and warp gate on the way. Sentry on the way for MacSed. So MacSed has found his opening set piece that he likes, and that is I scout you with hallucination and check if you're cheesing me or not. While Cyan opening with 2 adepts again. And,
wow, okay.
You know, there's a quick robo follow-up off the adepts. I actually don't mind if you just go 4 adepts into Nexus. I think is a really good opening as well. And then, you know, you do like the 8 adept pressure. Because MacSed is so defensive. So when a player is this defensive, and especially sentry focused, 2 things are great versus them. Number 1, adepts, because... well, guess what? You can kill sentries with adepts really well. But also, adepts stop your opponent from mining from their natural. You don't need to throw the adepts away. You can just keep threatening the shade in, and they can't really put all their probes on their natural, or they're going to lose a lot of them. So if you can kind of just clear this pylon and get your expand up, that's great. The thing is, Cyan, he is taking a little bit of a long time to deny the pylon in these games, so I really like that move from MacSed. But yeah, if you can just get adepts, do pressure, and then be really greedy behind it, it's a great recipe against someone as defensive as MacSed.
Well, we do have the many adepts here from Cyan, similar to game 2, looking to get aggressive at the start of the game. MacSed with the Stargate build, and you know, as soon as you see a guy go Stalker and Sentry, you know that they're just going to sit back, basically, right? In PvP, that's the I'm going to chill, rely on hallucinations for information, and just deal with what I have to deal with. And 2 Stalkers, I don't think beats 4 adepts. I think it's a close fight, but he does have the range and he does have the mobility. The shade is faster than the Stalker, but the base movement speed of the adept is not. So you can kite a little bit there.
Cute tip, when they're coming in with 4 adepts like that, you definitely don't want to build a shield battery because it will die so quickly. It only has 300 hit points. Obviously, a Cybercore has the most hit points, but it has a shorter build time than a Gateway. So if you're planning to cancel it, a Gateway is usually the best option against this sort of giant Adept Assault. Pylon is a decent in-between, as it has 100 more hit points than a shield battery. And he's going to build the Gateway before he even arrives because he knows the threat of that getting focused down is rather big. But 8 adepts can just one-shot his adepts. Ooh, nice focus fire.
We got that shield battery.
Yep, the adepts just get one shot though, so that's a big problem for them. And now the Stalkers can fight it off.
Yeah, they certainly can. Shield battery finishing up there in the natural. It does get drained. Still has overcharge if he really needs it, but he doesn't. So the adepts get deflected. Dark Shrine for Cyan, though. The Invisible Man Clubhouse being hidden, I think, on the far right of the map. If I'm not mistaken. Stasis Ward there actually catches a few probes. Not the greatest catch, but it's something.
There was quite a bit of mining time, I think, as well, while he was dealing with it, because it was happening while the Adept fight was going on. So I always love a bit of counter damage at the same time. And double Oracle for MacSed is so brutal in this scenario. You don't have many units that shoot up. They've regenerated their shields. They've got a bit of energy. I mean, the Prism's going across to help those Adepts ferry into the main, but there's nothing in the main right now. Maynard, these Oracles are going to slaughter.
They certainly are. Stalker being warped in after the fact, but there's going to be a ghost town when that Stalker comes on in. The extra couple coming in for the natural, but 9 probes have lost their lives, and that is serious damage. Well played there. Oh my god.
Dude, this is huge for MacSed. I mean, he's picked his build so well. He's building another Oracle right now, which is fantastic detection. I think maybe he's realized there's something missing there because his Stalkers are solid on his ramp. If they're on hold position, DTs won't be able to get on in. And he can always just pull his probes up his ramp. Oracles are here with Revelation. Oh, he's got to get those Oracles
good shade
back.
Block.
DT's walking in.
He's got an Oracle. He's got an Oracle here for the Revelation. There it is.
Oh,
another DT in the main. He can recall. He could recall another Oracle back if he needs.
Oh, and the Adept. Cyan's going hard for that counter damage. This Oracle needs to do a Revelation here right now. Finally does go down. Already 5 probes, though. More DT's warping in, but there's 3 Oracles, so they have pretty much unlimited detection.
And they're, strangely enough, not detecting. There we go. Revelation on the DT. Another one in the natural, though. It's blocked behind the Adepts. The Prism juggles it into the main. Bit of an awkward situation, honestly, for both players. 7 probes going down for MacSed. Cyan definitely fighting some counter damage, but losing DTs and Adepts is pretty expensive. And as we see, MacSed's got a lot of units left over still.
He really needs to build a Phoenix. Like, come on, you've got to get rid of this Warp Prism. So this is crazy. DT does die to the Oracles. Revelation does go down. And the other DT dies. Cyan, I don't like throwing away those last two DTs. Up to that point, honestly, Cyan was in a terrible position there with 3 Oracles out with plenty of energy. But the way he kept picking up whenever they got Revelated and were about to die, dropping them, going in, going out, like, that's a situation which can be an absolute disaster, but he got a fair bit of damage, and now he is up 8 workers. I mean, he's down in army, but he's up against MacSed. MacSed doesn't counterattack. He just builds more probes and expands. That's how he continues to the next step. So he'll do a bit of light harassment with the Oracles, but as long as you deflect that, you are absolutely back in this game as Cyan, and it's all due to that Dark Templar juggling, the Adepts microing in and out. Hats off to Cyan for good multitasking, and as you pointed out, an absolutely messy situation for both players to deal with.
Yeah, it's messy is how I would describe the last minute or so of this game for sure. The Oracle's coming into the natural. There's more than enough Stalkers to fight it back though, so they just drop the Revelation and leave through the middle there. Twilight Council finally going down for MacSed as he starts to get to the mid-game plan here, getting up to tier 2, outside of Stargate, of course. A bit of a head start and also a jump on gateway production here for Cyan at the moment.
I really love Stasis Trap blocking the third base when you've got 2 Oracles like this and they're wrapped up. He's actually going to put one outside the base, but if you put it on the base and then the probe gets frozen, it actually blocks the base being taken because the probe itself blocks it and there's nothing they can do about it. But unfortunately misses that opportunity. Cyan does get it down. Oracles are still a present danger to the mineral line. They're going to slide into the back and just hang out there. I think that's a fantastic idea for MacSed. 1, scouting Oracle, and 2, just wait till Cyan's on the map, till he's distracted, and when he's hopefully forgotten about that threat. And if he doesn't have a cannon in those mineral lines, those Oracles are going to find a lot of damage. Not like that.
Gets an Oracle kill there. Yeah, not like this. That is a good pick off there for Cyan. Not so great for MacSed.
Much for quicker upgrade. Wow, the forge timing so late for Cyan. I think the quicker third base means that's totally okay for Cyan in this case, because he can kind of build up his economy a bit faster. That being said, does he actually have enough production? The gateway explosion is very quick for MacSed. If he commits to a giant zealot attack, it could be very hard for Cyan to hang on, as it is 6 gates versus going up to 8. So the 8 warp gates are all warping in at this moment. So MacSed's on 8 versus 6. It's not a massive advantage by any means.
Indeed. Seems like, obviously both players have done a pretty big blow to both of their probe lines. The DTs for Cyan, the Oracle harassment from MacSed. But so, beaten, bloodied, and bruised, but they are really recovering here. They're resetting their noses, they're relocating their shoulders, just getting back into the ring.
Like, it just like blows out the nose, and you just see like an absolute bloody bucket load of blood go. You're like, oh my lord, it's good. I can breathe again. It's good. Don't worry, man.
Yeah, it's all good. So obviously charge done for, or rather blink done here for both players, and MacSed with +2 on the way quite a bit faster. He's going to have a little bit more punch for punch for those units on the ground, but as MacSed generally is, he's super passive at the moment, not feeling confident until the third is saturated, some static defense down there, and he's got a handful of upgrades to make his army as mobile as he wants. Like in game 2, he's a bit more out there on the map, but in game 2 he didn't get hit as hard by his opponent's harassment, so he felt a little bit more confident in that regard.
I don't mind Cyan getting aggressive. I just don't want him to try and force an attack into a well-positioned MacSed. Posture around, drop some DTs in the main, pick off with Blink Stalkers, that sort of stuff would all be great. The big question mark here is, what else does Cyan have in his playhouse? He's looking way better this game. He's got a bigger army, a bit behind in upgrades. That's all good. But he stopped at 52 probes for a little bit there. MacSed's kind of, caught up in the workers. Does he take a 4th? Does he go quick disruptors again? What does Cyan have planned for this game that is going to make up for all of the losses in the previous one?
Oh, got him! That's a lovely stasis ward right there. Quite a bit of mining denied. Well done.
Quick disruptors again. This seems to be just what Cyan likes to do. So Robo Bay goes down off just 1 Robo to start. We expect him to drop a 2nd Robo after. MacSed is a little down on army, or was up until just now in this game. So I think MacSed is going to have a harder time breaking Cyan's 4th base this time around. That being said, the Archon Zealot count groweth, and if they can find a big open angle to fight, they'll look really good. Cyan, 40 T-drop ready on the right side. Ooh. Oh, this game's about to get really interesting, Maynard. MacSed's coming across the map.
He certainly is. He's got detection with his army, but of course, back at home, he could potentially be hit by those DTs. I don't know if he's got photon cannons peppered around the place, but hopefully he remembers that the Invisible Man is a problem. Yes, he does have cannons. Good old MacSed. He locks the doors when he leaves.
Oh, DT drop could be game ending. Uh-oh. DT drop is going to take out the cannon. Battery overcharge goes down a little too late.
Oh, no. Oh, MacSed's just, like, he thought about going home there with that army, or maybe just 1-8 his whole thing back home. Oh, the Robo got depowered there. The Observer was getting chronoed out. These DTs finding some sick damage. Let's have a look at the fight here in the natural. Can MacSed at least make Cyan pay for this harassment? He is coming in, but he's fighting into a choke point here, and it goes pretty deep with an overcharged shield battery as well. The Immortal getting pushed back. It does go down in the end, but it took a lot of firepower and a lot of work from these Archons, but these Archons picked 7 Archons from MacSed are just shredding the Gateway army.
His Immortals in the back as well were slaying. They're killing buildings. They're just clearing their way through gateways. DT's coming from behind. The Observer is there and says, no, no, no. None of that, mate. And even though he's taking massive damage back at home, and he doesn't have any detection to recover his main, so the main of MacSed's getting ravaged. This is still technically a situation where maybe, just maybe, Cyan could come back, but dude, I mean, tearing even all the production down, there's still more. Yeah, 4 of his gateways are actually in his natural. So MacSed still has 4 gate production. He's still warping in Zealots to reinforce. There's a Disruptor out, but it's trapped between the buildings.
Oh, no. Does that mean the Nova would be as well? Oh, yep. I mean, that Nova does fire. And he does lose some units here, but he's just like, that's fine, I'll go to the third wherever the Disruptors aren't. You know, I'll just chill. And while MacSed's sort of just saying, yeah, take my main, mate, I'll take everything else of yours.
Dude, one Disruptor, if that one Disruptor was free of the buildings when the push came in the natural, maybe he could have actually got a giant shot. He just killed a pylon and freed it. So he's out there now, but his third is getting ransacked, and it looks like MacSed here, decisive with the push. Such a scary decision to make. Does take a big Disruptor shot to the face, but Cyan's economy has already been shattered.
Yeah, good Disruptor there, it was definitely something. He got a lot of damage done, and he definitely killed some pretty high-cost, high-value units. But MacSed can keep producing and flooding in these charge lots. There's only so much the Disruptors can do. And he's taking the third, he's taking the natural. And meanwhile, while MacSed has lost a lot of his main, he still has part of it alive, and he's got 2 mining bases still. So it feels like a massive advantage for MacSed, and this is match point, so it's by all means, it is starting to look like a 3-0, Piggly.
Indeed, dude. MacSed just looking so fantastic at his PvP today. He honestly was so close to beating Time earlier in the bracket, so I'm so excited for him to go into that grand finals, and he has just dismantled this. A lot of players would have recalled their army back, taken massive damage, and simply fallen behind. But MacSed so decisive, said, no, 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 I have invested in this giant